Welcome to the Vantage HR Influencers podcast. This podcast is sponsored by Vantage Circle, the simple and AI-powered rewards and recognition platform for employee engagement.
Talent pipeline is not just another corporate term, but a dynamic framework in the realm of human resources. Imagine it as a carefully woven tapestry of potential, a pathway through which raw potential morphs into exceptional proficiency. This ingenious system flows through the very heart of an organization. However, as with any captivating tale, the journey of a talent pipeline is not without its twists and turns. So let's embark on a journey where we unravel its inner working, grasp its significance, and explore the art of nurturing a continuous stream of brilliance while navigating the labyrinth of modern dynamics. Hello listeners, welcome to another episode of Vantage Influencers podcast, where we explore a wide range of HR topics that are sure to grab your attention and inspire you. I'm your host, Sanjeevani Saikia, and today we will be having a conversation on the talent pipeline. And for the same, I have with me Sulbha Kaushal Rai, Chief People Officer at RenewBuy. Hi Sulbha.
Hi Sanjeevani.
First of all, I would like to wholeheartedly thank you for giving your invaluable time and joining us in today's episode. Before we dive deeper into today's topic, talent pipeline, could you kindly walk us through your corporate journey so far?
Sure, Sanjeevani. Thank you so much.
Pleasure to have you.
And making me part of this show. Really appreciate it. So regarding my corporate journey, I started with the Big Four's EY and spent some fantastic 8-9 years there, where I handled a lot of stuff from HR to corporate HR to many other initiatives, global initiatives. And then, EY is famous for creating entrepreneurs. I think that rubbed me in. And I started my own entrepreneurial journey post EY. And I created my own HR strategy consulting firm called People Matrix.
Okay.
That was again a fantastic, phase of my life where I learned a lot. Had the opportunity of meeting people from different industries, verticals, worked with large organizations, SMEs, and even startups. So again, immense learning and extremely enriching and personally satisfying journey. Then RenewBuy happened. RenewBuy used to be my client. Work here, I got pushed from my own business by a client. And so I kind of consulted RenewBuy for a year and then full-time as a Chief People Officer. So I've been working with them since 2017. And yeah, that's been my journey so far.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing your journey with us. It has truly been remarkable. So today we'll be discussing the talent pipeline. To get us started, could you first of all define this particular concept? So in your experience and expertise, what do you think talent pipeline is? And also, Sulbha, why do you think this concept is so significant?
Sure. So, Sanjeevani, the way talent pipeline is defined is basically it is the strategic approach how organizations look into attracting, developing, or retaining, people across different skills and qualification. That helps them fulfill the current as well as the future requirements of the organization.
Yeah.
So basically, the entire component of talent pipeline literally starts from how you source, how you recruit, select, onboard people, and then finally merge them into the organization. And it has become a very relevant topic in times of today. Because organizations have been evolving and they have to quickly respond to the micro as well as macroeconomics of the environment in which we operate. So, and I have in my own personal journey also seen not just my organization but any other organization that I keep interacting, that pivoting has become very crucial for a lot of organization and important for their own survival. And when organizations are pivoting and taking a different stance, there is again a very important talent pipeline comes into the picture, where they have to ensure that they actually have that right talent and a continuous talent supply. Because all said and done, creating a talent pipeline is time and cost consuming. But if somebody is already investing into this, already keeping a tab on the kind of people the organization may need today or for tomorrow, continuously identifying people reduces that time and cost effort. It also kind of helps once you have a pipeline, as the word itself says, you're also prepared for the future and you're able to anticipate who could be your possible successor. So it beautifully aligns to succession planning. And also with, like I said, organizations pivot, there is a need for skill and competency alignment or realignment that may be required by other organization. So once you identify your talent and you are able to map them, I think this concept comes in very handy, where organizations are quickly able to adapt to the rapidly changing business environment. And if you have spent time and invested in creating the talent pipeline, not only you obviously save the cost, but you also ensure that the person, the people have a great experience, and they are the ones who deliver as per the expectation. And we all know an engaged employee is most productive employee. So I think all that kind of are the additional benefits, and that's why it is so significant and it is so important to have one.
Yeah. So in talent pipeline, it is important to have a group of qualified candidates ready to hire when needed. So as you've talked about the continuous supply, so how difficult or easy it is? So if I talk about hiring in India particularly.
I think within India, I think now we are in a great space. We do have a large volume of qualified people. But yes, getting the right fit in terms of the exact requirements, that can sometimes be a challenge. But I think organizations are investing their time and effort in ensuring that they are on a continuous lookout of the right talent, and also they are ready to invest. So they have different programs to ensure, if you talk about campus to corporate, I think a lot of organizations have adopted that approach that helps them, quickly help these students, become productive in the organization. And even for the lateral hires, I think with so much of focus and investment going here, organizations have derived or designed different programs and methodologies where the talent can be the skill talent. You keep identifying and you keep reskilling and upskilling them to make them more relevant to the organization.
Okay. I'm very interested in learning how talent pipelines have evolved in recent years to adapt to changing workforce dynamics and technological advancements for that matter. So could you please share some insights on how talent pipelines have transformed to address the challenges posed by the evolving workforce and technology?
Yeah, so I think we have seen it evolve, and the workforce dynamics and technological advancements have really, speeded up the process. So something that, some of the strategies that organizations have, adopted is going by a data-driven approach. I think that's extremely important. Gone are the days where you just loosely start looking at only the skills and just calling people. I think with a lot of big data and advanced analytics that is available, I think organizations are using that approach or those insights to identify where are the talent gaps, what can be the future needs, and then they are able to take much more informed decisions in terms of what kind of talent do we need and where do we need to spot them from. So I think now there is more precision. I think that's kind of building in here. Also, nowadays, one of another strategy that's being adopted is doing agile workforce planning, which means that people the planning it's no more so many open positions, so many people to be hired. I think now it is all about workforce planning being replaced by more agile and adaptive approaches, which means that organizations are continuously using scenario planning or preparing the future workforce, and accordingly they are trying to balance it or strategize their talent pipeline. And we also see that now gig workers have started integrating into the economy. So I think that is also another great strategy for talent pipeline, that we leverage the expertise of these gig workers. And when organizations find challenge in quickly replacing people or finding the right alternate, I think these gig workers come in very handy, and that's a great strategy to fill in the gaps and get the best talent, and complement their core workforce. So I think these are some of the strategies. I think apart from that, now world is really becoming a small place when it comes to looking for the talent. I think global workforce is also available to different parts of the world. So even the global talent pool is available with more rise of work from home or virtual collaborations. I think it just goes beyond the geographical boundaries. So in a need, I think this is also something that organizations can look for and adopt when scouting or preparing their organization.
Okay. So you have lucidly explained this particular question. Sulbha, again, I believe that a strong employer brand is crucial for attracting top employees and improving the talent pipeline. It's important to have proper employer branding strategies in place for the talent pipeline to be impactful. With that in mind, I'm eager to learn about effective strategies and best practices that companies can implement to strengthen their employer brand. So what do you have to say about this particular aspect?
I think creating an employer brand is extremely important. And in times like this, where people have far more information with just click of a button or tap of their fingers, the brands really need to stand out. And even the employees these days are extremely conscious and they do their homework before really signing the contract. So for organization, for them to be able to attract the top talent, move their talent pipeline, I think some of the strategies that organizations can use to build a strong employer brand is, I think it's first and foremost is communicating and talking about or defining the core values, what the organization really stands for, what is something to their heart, and it cannot be overemphasized that the value system defines the organization, and if you want the people to live those values, it is extremely important that you make them available, and they also play a huge role in creating your personalized employer brand. So communicating these values and authentically and consistently establishing that, it's not just words, it should be how you live and breathe those values, it should also be kind of consistent in your messages, in your communication, and people should be able to believe that. So that's important.
Yeah.
Another important aspect of creating a strong employer brand is, I think, give the right experience or a positive experience to the candidates. It's very important when they come right from the first phone call to their interactions, to their onboarding, to their first day in office. I think it's extremely important that as an employer, everybody, not just one person. It is not just the responsibility of only the HR team or a particular department. I think it is the responsibility of everybody to ensure that the candidate has a positive experience, because nothing works better than the experience itself. No matter how much you talk about it, but I think the experience itself is extremely important.
Yeah.
While obviously organizations must talk about or leverage the social media presence, because now the kind of workforce we have, the Gen Zs or the millennials, I think all of them are extremely savvy on social media. So for an organization to present their brand and create a brand presence is extremely important, that they have a strong and an engaging, not just strong, but very engaging social media presence.
Yes.
And there is one way where, while the organization obviously talk good about themselves, but nothing can be better if you can have your employees as your brand ambassadors. I think that is something which is more trustworthy, more relatable, and in the context of our conversation today about the talent pipeline, it is all about attracting the talent, right? Sanjeevani, I think if your employees become your brand ambassadors, yes, and if they share their stories and those authentic stories and testimonials and their experiences, that totally humanizes the organization and provides insight into company culture, environment, and opportunities. So,
exactly. Yeah.
So that's something which is very important to create a good brand for the organization.
Yeah, wonderful. I think you'll agree with me on the fact that talent pipeline again plays a very critical role in promoting diversity and inclusivity in the workplace. So I had to ask you this question since right now diversity, DE&I is very important. So by focusing on diversity and inclusivity at every stage of the talent pipeline, companies can create a workforce that reflects a wide range of perspectives, backgrounds, and experiences. So I and our listeners will be keen on learning about actionable steps that can be taken at various stages of the pipeline to create a more inclusive and diverse workforce. So basically, how can organizations ensure that their talent pipeline initiatives actively foster diversity and inclusivity in the workplace?
Sure. Good question here. So,
thank you.
I think D&I is no more a tick in the box. D&I is no more good to have, but I think it is a must to have.
A must have, yes.
Yeah. And it is not only restricted to gender, but I think it has many more tenets to it. And to be able to foster D&I at workplace, I think it's very important that all the stakeholders involved in creating that talent pipeline, understands the importance of it. I think it starts from the why it is important for them, and what value it brings to them. So I think to be able to foster diversity, it is important that first people understand and organization invest in D&I training itself. How a recruiter or the hiring manager should leave aside their unconscious biases and embrace diversity and inclusion. That's extremely important.
Yes.
I think it starts from there. Then the way talent is sourced, I think there should be to ensure D&I prevails in the true sense. I think it should be kind of mandated to the sourcing team that they should look for diverse experience, diverse community, diversity in different forms. and they should look for different kind of even education background, or the colleges. A lot of times people also have a bias, so from my college or from my city or from my
Yes.
previous company. I think that has to shackle, and people should be open to exploring. In fact, I was listening to a very good podcast of the Disney founder, and he was saying that he would never hire people who would say that I will get people from my previous organization. I said, and he would say, there is no need to, get people whom you have already worked with. Yeah. So you should explore more people. And what's the fun of just working with the same people all the time?
Yes.
So I kind of found very interesting, and I think that's where it starts. And even there should be an unbiased recruitment and selection process. So, like I said, just because there is an affinity of a particular college, location, gender, whatever, that has to be totally weeded out from the process. People should be trained to conduct more structured interviews. They should look at the resumes without the really the other details about the candidate, but it should only focus on the experience part, so that something like a blind resume reviews, where the only experience is shared and not the other details of the candidate. So you're objectively looking at the resume.
Yeah.
And in fact, the number of people or interviews should also be if possible be diverse, so that you get a fair evaluation of the candidate. Also, I think some of the things that we can also do to ensure that we are fostering D&I at workplaces also, because we spoke about employer branding in the previous question, I think we should also look at how we can do a more inclusive employer branding. So, when as an organization you talk about that you are an inclusive organization and you're committed to equality, I think those things also reflect and you will attract talent from different walks of life and different kind of experiences. I think that is also kind of helps in fostering this.
Yeah. So as you've mentioned about unconscious bias, I think unconscious bias is very much prevalent. Do you think that it's very prevalent after the talent pipeline is prepared or before, kind of undergoing the process?
Unconscious bias plays at various levels, actually. Sometimes even before a candidate comes, a lot of times we have this ideal candidate in our minds. And in fact, the way we also prepare the job descriptions, and sometimes apart from the roles and responsibility, when we say the kind of talent we need, from what kind of an experience, what kind of a background, I think it kind of starts to play from there. So it is again important to focus on the objective and the kind of experience that you want on the table, and not focus too much, which can hamper the D&I principles or the culture you want to create in the organization. Yeah. And like I said, when in the process, that's why the training sometimes comes come in as a help, where people are made aware of their unconscious bias. And that's why I think just taking on from the last question of things that we can do to ensure that we foster diversity, I think we should also create certain matrices and goals around that, because something that gets measured can be managed. So that also kind of gives reflection of, are we operating with any unconscious bias, or are we kind of able to recognize this and take the corrective step for that.
Yeah. So Sulbha, we are arriving at the end of today's episode. But before we let you go, there is one last thing that both our listeners and I would like to know your take on. So with the rise of remote work, how can organizations adapt their talent pipeline strategies to effectively recruit and onboard remote employees?
Sure. So I think nowadays lot of options are available, and in last couple of years we have seen we really have evolved from office to work from home to work from anywhere.
Yes.
And some of the key considerations, or strategies that organizations can adopt to are as simple as virtual recruitment process, because lot can be done, and we have fantastic tools available now. So and you can also have different assessments for the candidates through a virtual recruitment process. Virtual onboarding is also something which is kind of adopted by many, and then you kind of give them an experience of what it is about how working in an organization and how they can understand the details about the organization, how it works and operates, and the expectations, etc. Like I said, now a lot of tools and platforms are available. So once the person is onboarded, how do we leverage those platforms becomes extremely important. So to ensure that the talent that you have hired is effectively working in the organization, we should provide that enabling environment. So all kind of possible tools and platforms should be made available. There should be formal policies around remote work so that there is no ambiguity, and all the stakeholders, both the employee and the employer, which is the team members, understand their policies there in place. So that's important.
Yeah.
One of the challenges that we have heard and witnessed is during a remote work, the team building becomes a little challenging. But again, there are ways and means where remote team building can happen. So I think that is also an important aspect that one should look at, and ensure that there is camaraderie, there is team spirit while working remotely also.
Yeah.
And how do you continuously engage and develop your people is extremely important in a remote environment. So, there should be a continuous support mechanism, because there could be moments where employees may feel not in office. So, there should be, the support system for the employees to connect and share. That's important. And yes, I think there should be different kinds of, engagement. The engagement doesn't means only fun activities. I think engagement is all about conversations, and it can be with different leaders, with different teams also. So an enabling environment where people can just feel connected to the organization, connected to the purpose of it. Somebody who can continuously tell them what is expected of them, how they are making a difference, why they are valuable. I think all these things are extremely important, and more so when you're at a remote workplace, because sometimes messages do get diluted, or sometimes they're not understood in the true spirit. So I think various levels of communication and connections definitely help, in ensuring that the talent that you have acquired is engaged and is motivated to deliver.
Yeah, wonderful. We have reached the end of today's podcast. Do you have any message for our listeners? Our listeners would be delighted to hear it from you. Also, our audience might want to stay in touch with you post this podcast. So it would be great if you could tell them how they can reach out to you.
I think the only message is be like a sponge, be like a lifelong learner. I think there is nothing better than keep evolving and keep learning. I think that's really the true essence of the life. So, you're not growing old, you're only growing wiser. That's the way one should look at it.
Yeah.
And I would love to be connected with your listeners. I'm very active on LinkedIn, and people can find me there. My LinkedIn profile is Sulbha Kaushal Rai. They can find me there. Or if they want to write an email to me, they can write to me as well on my personal email ID. That's sulbha31@gmail.com.
Okay. That, I think our listeners must have taken note of that. Sulbha, it's been a pleasure to have you as our guest today. Your insights and expertise have been invaluable, and we are grateful for the time you've taken to share your knowledge with our listeners. So thank you so much. Thanks a lot, Sulbha.
Thank you so much, Sanjeevani. I really enjoyed our conversation. And thank you so much once again for the opportunity.
Thank you so much. Yes.
Thanks for listening to the Vantage HR Influencers podcast. Please do subscribe to Vantage HR Influencers podcast on Apple Podcast, Spotify, and our YouTube channel for new episodes.